This is a short class on the planning process. What we're going to do is identify the main headings in the planning process and show the sequence of these headings, show which comes before the others, and just get a schema to show how the planning process is worked out in practice. So we start with the identification of the project. What is the project? What is the process? What exactly are we planning here? What is the planning process about? Is it in the context of increasing production, or is it in the context of launching a new product, or what's it in the field? What is it aiming to do? What is the outcome of this planning process? Will it be more production? Will it be extra staff? Will it be a relocation of the plant? What is it? What is the planning process about? What's its identification? In order to get the planning process moving, it's necessary to know where we are at the moment. What is the present situation? What's wrong with the present situation? Is there anything the matter? Does it need improving? And in a sense, it always needs improving, but in another sense, if there's no gaping hole, if there's no big issue right now, is it necessary to have this process? Well, review the current situation. It may be the current situation is good vis-a-vis position in the market, position vis-a-vis competitors. So the present situation could be good, and perhaps it just needs tweaking, it needs minor fixing. Or perhaps the planning process needs a more long-term view, because there's no grounds for complacency in business. The competitors are not sitting idly by and accepting the status quo. They're not going to accept second place if they can help it. So perhaps the planning process should be taken more seriously, and it should run on perhaps two levels. One, the more immediate planning process, looking at the existing conditions of production, delivery, product satisfaction in the market and product performance in the market, and also looking at the long term, the development of new products, the development of new markets, and perhaps go back to the Ansoff matrix and look at some of the ways in which the business can be grown. So do a project SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats analysis, and do some research into alternatives. So looking at the planning process may mean looking at the status quo, what's in position at the moment, and what is required, and look at the strengths, weaknesses and opportunities and threats as relate to the business now, and see if the business can afford to make the commitment to make changes and develop in accordance with some new development plan. So far we have identified the project, identify what we're planning, what it is we're thinking of, identify it, then review the present situation, see how well the present situation meets the requirements as set out in the project identification part, see whatever shortfall there is and what is required, and then perform a SWOT on the business to see what opportunities, what threats, what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses of the business, so that the current situation can be properly assessed. Do a market analysis to see what the market wants. Make sure that the marketing section is feeding back from the customers. Engage in market research. Market research, if it's properly done, is a good investment. It feeds back what the customers want and makes sure that the product meets their requirements. The more precisely the product meets the customer requirements, the more popular the product will be, the more successful it will be, and the company will benefit as a consequence. But customers may like to see products in different areas, and they may like to see products developing in different areas. So market research may help to gauge customer feelings towards new proposals, a new product development perhaps, asking the customers how they feel about the new product. Would they buy it? Evaluate all the alternatives. Look at the alternatives available to the business and evaluate them. Try to pick the best one. And to pick the best one needs a set of criteria, some set of rules or some set of ideas about what is best must have been agreed or set out at the start. So evaluate the alternatives according to some set of criteria, decision criteria. What was decided, what would be good as determined at the start of the exercise. So evaluate the alternatives according to the criteria. And then prototype the product. Make the product. Design it and make it. And test it out again in the market. Go back and ask customers, here is an example of the product. Would you buy this? Ask them, would they buy it? Would they spend their money on this? And if it's a positive reaction, then perhaps the project could go ahead. But it may be that the planning process is not about developing a new product. It could be that it's moving premises, moving location. Go back to the start again. The project is to move location, move the business from one part of the country to a different part of the country. Now, review the present situation. What's wrong with the present situation? Why move? List out the points against moving. And what are the points that make moving, or what are the points that put moving on the agenda? Why move the business? Now do a SWOT on the business. And from that, try to work out, would it be advantageous to relocate? Assess any marketing implications of moving. Will this be moving away from the customer base? Will delivery be more difficult or easier as a consequence of the move? Look at all the alternatives to moving. Perhaps setting up a store someplace, or a distribution outlet in one centre. And dry run the move if possible. Try to simulate the move. It's a bit like prototyping and design, as I've got it on the slide at the moment. But try to imagine what it would be like if the business had moved. Would it be better or worse than the present situation? And having worked all of that out, look at the budgeting implications. How would any change arising from this whole planning process, how will the change influence budgets? Will budgets need to be increased? Will they be reduced? What exactly will be the implications of any planning change on the budgets? In other words, what's the financial implications of any change? So we can look at the planning process in steps. Identify what the planning process is about, what it is we're looking at, moving the business, developing a new product, relocating to another country, setting up a new distribution channel, whatever it is. So we're planning a new process. Review the current situation. look at the strengths of the business and the weaknesses of the business, what opportunities and threats and so on. Look at the business critically, in other words. See what obstacles are there in making any changes. Make sure that the market will not be adversely affected by any changes. Look at all of the alternatives that are possible, and then dry run the whole exercise if possible. In other words, do it on paper if possible. Try to work through carefully the implications before it actually happens. And then, and probably most importantly, look at the implications of the changes for the budgets, the departmental budgets, the overheads and so on. Look at this and make sure that the budgets are not badly affected or affected in a way which could be detrimental to the continuance of the business. I said it was a short class, and it is a short class. That's all we need to do on this one. So we're going to leave it at that and say thank you for watching.